really hoped we would be discussing Mercedes back at the top of the grid, fighting with Red Bull after everything that went on in 2021 and then them dropping the ball last year in 2022 with the new regulation switch. Yeah. And it really just looks like they haven't been able to take the step. Toto Wolff came out. He said, we need a radical change. My question to you, Darryl, is should they have abandoned the zero pod concept going into the 2023 season?
Such a deep question. But honestly, the theory behind the zero pod is a really good theory if they can get it to work. You know, making it all streamlined with that much more rear splitter exposed, you can start working with the ground effects a lot more because of the top of the splitter has 6-7 inches more air that can ram on top of it. So
right.
It people are like, yeah, it's put to make it straight line speed, but it's actually also supposed to help with the cornering,
which is where according to them they're lacking right now. Yeah. They've managed to fix the porpoising, which was the big issue in 2022. They've got that sorted. Now they can't get through the corners.
So I think if they can figure out a way, and these cars are so aero dependent, they're going to have to shoot more air onto those little fins off the rear diffuser at the top of it. Because if you look at the Mercedes car, the zero pod gives them like 6 to 8 more inches on each side to blow air down onto that diffuser to give it more grip. So until they figure out how to optimize that air that gets onto the splitter, it's kind of, or the rear diffuser, it's kind of like theoretically it sounds great.
Yeah.
But obviously on track, when your team principal is like, we need a radical change.
Well, this is what I'm saying, right? When Toto, listen, Mercedes has dominated Formula One for the past decade. All right, I mean, last season, if we're doing 8 years plus the 2 that we're in now, it's a decade. Yeah. They've won 8 out of 10. They're at 80%. They pretty much make the ship a Formula One move. You've got the greatest of all time, arguably, Lewis Hamilton. You've got a young stud in George Russell, and they just don't have the tool.
Yeah.
But I think the disappointing thing was near the end of last season, we saw them. George won.
Yeah.
Like, he won a race.
They had race pace.
Yeah. So, what did you make of the weekend for Lewis and George, especially the race? Because it looked like Lewis was pretty happy with the result, George not so much. Yeah. But I don't know how Lewis can be happy with that.
I think in the end, he looks at how he started off last season, and anything's better than that. I think he started it off there. He went into a race weekend and he's not battling for 10th. He's there in the top 5. He can get in there. George could have been in the top 5 too. But I also think they have trust in their team, and I think the theoretical side of things, they understand how fast this car could be, and I really do think that they look to their team for as many answers as they possibly can, but they're also driving it and realize, there's a big stride this car is going to need to take, but it's not as bad as last year.
Right, but it's nowhere near competing for a championship, because when you have guys like George Russell, the driver of your car, saying Red Bull Racing has this locked up.
Yeah.
He's basically saying we might as well not even go up and show up for the racing.
And the first round too. You know what I mean?
After round one, this could be a painfully long season. Yes. Like 22 more races.
Yeah, but in the end, like you said, Mercedes has been dominant for so long that their drivers are just so used to battling for wins. Everyone else in the whole paddock has been battling for second place or third place on that podium. Sorry, Mercedes, this is your time to kind of struggle a little bit and figure it out, right? So I think that's where, George and Lewis's mindset, George and Lewis's mindset is right now, where they realize, we don't have a car to win, but we have the engineers and the team behind us to make a car perform at its optimal, and I think last season proved that. That car was not a car that should have won a race. That car shouldn't have been on the podium. George should not have done top 5 for the first 9 races.
Yeah, he had the top 5 streak going until Silverstone, where he got it mixed up with
exactly, and then and at that point he could have still
he got
stopped because he jumped out of his car to go help Zoe.
He did the right thing and it cost him at that point.
Exactly,
but he did manage to get a win last year, which is why I guess it's kind of deflating and disappointing. Yeah. I mean, managing expectations right out of the gate is not a good thing, especially when you're heavily regarded as one of the best drivers and best teams in the business and in the sport. But we'll see how it all unfolds. Of course, there are 22 races left, off to Saudi Arabia next. This is another race weekend, Canada's F1 show. Darryl Timmers of Pro Racing Ontario, Dames Nellas. We'd love for you to drop a comment and let us know what you think about Toto Wolff's suggested radical change to the Mercedes. And just let us know what you think about Lewis, George, and the Mercedes driving pair in general. Until next time.